Hello everyone, it is the first Monday of March and I'm excited to share with you some wonderful updates and some challenging updates as well for the Connect 2020 plan, and let's get started. So, I want to give you guys some updates first on some of the things we've been working on together. That means you guys with us and these live streams and just the general community overall. So, the YouTube channel now has 460 subscribers. That's crazy, and that's really awesome. And so I want to celebrate that. I want to thank you all for those of you who have been subscribing, for those of you who have been asking friends to subscribe, asking church members to subscribe, asking team members to subscribe, asking your grandmother to subscribe. I mean, you guys have been doing amazing things, and we're really quickly moving towards that goal of 1,000. So again, back just as a reminder, we're shooting to have 1,000 subscriptions on our Connect 2020 YouTube page, and what that does is it opens up the ability for us to use mobile devices. So that's cell phones, that's tablets, anything that's considered in the mobile category, to do live streams on YouTube. So as you might recognize right now, this isn't YouTube. I'm using Facebook Live. And then I take this Facebook Live video and I upload it to YouTube for the time being. So once we unlock that 1,000 subscriber level, then we'll be able to do that. So we encourage you guys, if you haven't subscribed already, please do. That would be a huge help. So it's youtube.com/Connect2020, or just search Connect 2020 in the search bar there on the YouTube page and you'll find it. And that will allow us to be able to not only do live streams from my phone on YouTube directly like this, but we'll also be able to do on the scene reporting type ways of doing things. I got a GoPro. We'll be able to use our our phones and such. Excuse me. And yeah, it's going to be really cool, and hopefully we'll be able to leverage our technology and the benefits of being in an open country to keep you guys up to date what's going on, keep you guys abreast of what's going on with prayer live through live stream. So another big update is the Lottie Moon Challenge. So last week I brought up the Lottie Moon Challenge to y'all, and that's basically our specific project through the Lottie Moon Avenue of Southern Baptists, that all that money for that particular Lottie Moon project, or the Lottie Moon Challenge, all that goes to our Connect 2020 project specifically. So we went from 65,000 last week to 68,000, just a little over 68,000 this week. So thank you to all of you who have been a part of that as well. We can't do some of this stuff without money, unfortunately. There's a lot of creative ways to do things for free, but even then, sometimes those free things require a little bit of financial support on the front end to make them free. So thank you all for being a part of that if you've given, and if you haven't, the thing's going to be open all year round because the Connect 2020 plan goes till the very end of 2020. So if you realize, oh man, I hadn't given but I wanted to, and it's after the Olympics, it's okay, because we are still going to be having things going on after the Olympics, such as follow-up ministry and things like that. So it's not over until technically the last day of December 2020. So thank you all for joining us on this live stream, and thank you for all of you who have been a part of the subscription numbers bumping up, and the Lottie Moon Challenge numbers bumping up as well. So I also want to brag some on some of the state conventions and some of the other people that have been contributing more directly to what's going on, just to encourage you guys and hear what other believers are doing to assist us in this task, because this is really, it's a group effort. And sure, we're driving the boat, so to speak, but we can't do this without cooperation. So first, as you guys have heard, Alabama State Convention said that, hey, we like your pens, we want to help support you guys, how can we do it? And so they came up with their own idea of purchasing 3,000 pens. of the bridge pins that we have, and then trying to get 5 separate churches in the Alabama State Convention to jump in with that similar idea and adopt one of our 5 set pins, which are big pieces of our gospel sharing tool, of our tools. So they did that. And not only that, they're now saying, hey, we want to bring you in on some interviews, we want to bring you in on some articles and things like that, and get you guys some FaceTime in media and marketing across the Alabama State Convention, which that's just absolutely cool. They're voluntarily doing these things. We're not asking for these things. And that's one of the things that we're really excited about when it comes to partnerships. The Alabama State Convention, they are pursuing partnership with us. And what's a partner if both sides don't want to do something, right? And so this is a true partnership that we're excited about. We have a lot of state conventions who have within the last couple of years signed on in partnerships with East Asia. And so Virginia Baptist Convention, they heard what Alabama was doing, and they decided, hey, we want to do the same thing. So they have also bought 3,000 pins, and some of those pins are actually coming directly to us instead of just going to the state itself for the fundraising stuff. So they're actually buying pins, but some of those get sent to us to be put in our inventory for the summer, while others go to Virginia for fundraising and advertising, basically, for what's going on. And then the Northwest Baptist Convention heard what Alabama and Virginia was doing, and they're like, hey, we want to do it too. So it's just so cool to see this, this momentum happening between all the state conventions and conventions encouraging conventions, and just this cooperation that Southern Baptists are known for, and that's at the heart of what we do. And a great example of that, thank you, Kathy, for telling me about y'all sharing our video at during the WMU on Sunday. Thank you for doing that. Like we can't be in all these places all at once, man. We gotta stay in Japan, and it doesn't. These types of things don't happen unless we work together to share what's going on, and just bringing us up in your prayers more than anything. Like, your prayers are the most effective thing that we could have. I'll take your money, I'll take your presence and all that kind of stuff, but if I don't have your prayer, it's hard to do what we need to do. So but we are thankful for all those things. Don't hear me saying that in a heartless way, but we really covet your prayer, and prayer is critical. So thank you for the cooperation with that, Kathy, and thank you also specifically to the Texas BCM. During their Discover Weekend over this sometime in February, they raised $2,295 specifically towards pins. They asked us, hey, can we do some fundraising during this Discovery Weekend? We usually do some sort of fundraising stuff for missions and those types of things. And I was like, yeah, let's talk about pins. And so we figured out the average price for pins and all that stuff, and they ended up raising over $2,000 to specifically go towards these trading pins that we're using as gospel storing tools. So thank you, Texas BCM. And also thank you in advance for your involvement here this summer. Texas BCM is sending, I believe, 2 teams to serve here this summer, and we're very excited for that as well. Another, I don't know if it's a partnership as much as just a really cool opportunity, was Tara and I did a radio interview for Pilgrim Radio, which is a radio station serving some states on the west side of America. And we had that interview. I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and just the audio only, so you can just find the link and then watch the video, even though it's not really a video, it's just going to be a photo. But the audio will be playing. You can play it in the background, and you can hear our awesome interview with Pilgrim Radio, and it was so cool. That's our first, like, whoa, this is like a legit thing. We're getting interviews and stuff. That's weird. We've never done that before. And so that was a really sweet opportunity for us, and we had a great time talking with Bill on Pilgrim Radio, and yeah, it's just kind of neat to have that as something tangible too, to look back at. Hopefully, 2-3 years down the road, and we're like, oh yeah, we did that interview. God was so good during that time, during the Olympics, and even within the midst of all this craziness with the coronavirus and all the craziness we have to deal with managing a big project and stuff. It's just a sweet little piece of memory for us. And you can hear a little bit about our background and why we're here in Japan and how we got here, and you can hear about some different things about who we are and how that's led to our involvement with the Olympics, and then hear about what we're doing with the Olympics if you haven't already. But if you're watching this live stream, you're probably clued in a little bit more than the average person. So, but it's a fun interview, and we recommend that you guys listen to it. Now, to change subjects a little bit, I want to get a little bit serious about what's going on with the coronavirus and those types of things. So, first, I want to say that all of our information, all of our wisdom, all of our resources are coming from three primary resources. First is our IMB leadership, field leadership in East Asia, who are constantly monitoring things. There's an article that just came out this week announcing that the IMB has developed or started a task force to monitor the coronavirus and what's going on, particularly obviously with the missionaries across the country or across the world, and watching over them, making sure those things are good. But I'm sure that task force will also be helpful for you guys as you're hearing about the developments with the coronavirus and all those things. So the IMB has some great resources for all of us to be looking at, and these people have lots and lots of experience when it comes to these things. There's lots of experience when it comes to just past viruses and sicknesses that have been widespread like this, like SARS and Ebola and some of those things that they've had to be considerate of in the big picture of the task, as well as they just got some really smart and wise people there in leadership that I don't know how they do it, but God's given them the gifts and He hasn't given them to me. That's all I know, and I'm thankful to have those people in the middle of all that, helping us be smart about this. So that's our first level of contingency, of wisdom, and honestly, faithfulness and obedience when it comes to being smart about the coronavirus. Our second level is the U.S. State Department. The U.S. State Department sent us updates. We signed up for an update thing that lets us know when things change, or if we need to be worried or whatever, or like the different warning levels of precaution of how we need to treat things. And so that's a really, really reliable source as well. But obviously there isn't necessarily that faith element built into that, but there's definitely a lot of wisdom and a lot of science and a lot of shrewdness when it comes to how they approach things. So that's a very reliable source as well. And then the last source for us is the Japanese government. We're following their lead. We're also following how those organizations and especially municipal organizations and the big organizations in Japan. That doesn't necessarily have to be a Christian organization, but the major companies and the municipalities, how they're reacting to things, and how the government says, for example, just this week the government randomly decided, Shinzo Abe apparently randomly decided that, hey, we need to shut down all the schools across the country. And so everyone's doing that. And that affects us. That affects everyone, honestly. So just know that we're looking to those sources of wisdom and oversight to help us make smart decisions when it comes to how we do things. And I can say confidently right now, nothing is canceled for the summer. There's nothing that's changing for the summer. We're waiting to see how things develop. So you can hear straight from my mouth that we're not canceling anything. And if we do, or if anything changes, you'll definitely hear from us on that. And we just want to be clear about that so there's no confusion. Our partners are in the same boat. We're constantly communicating, reviewing what's going on, reassessing regularly. For us, it's a almost daily reassessment as things develop, but it's usually about a weekly reassessment to every 2 weeks reassessment of what's going on with how things are developing with the virus and that kind of fun stuff. So we're talking, we're looking, we're paying attention. So you can trust that we're not going to do anything to put anyone in danger. And we love you guys, and especially those of you who are going to be coming out. We don't want you guys getting sick. We don't want you guys falling out. I mean, even just the summer heat stuff, we're going to be really, really careful. So just know that we have no interest in putting anyone in danger or anyone in situations where they could fail or get sick or anything like that. So just be praying for us as we continue to sort through that and listen and pay attention to what's going on in the world and around us. I'll share with you guys some responses locally to what's going on with the coronavirus. So one is the local churches. The local churches are, these are places where large gatherings of people happen. And one of the first things that was asked by the government to back off on was large group gatherings. So that kind of puts churches in a tough position. That's either do we just cancel everything and wait, or what do we need to pare back on so that we can still function as a church but also not be stupid about how we do things or being unwise about how we do things. So a lot of churches here in Japan have gone just down to the Sunday service. So they've canceled Sunday schools, they've canceled small groups, they've canceled auxiliary ministries, they've canceled a lot of things to reduce exposure and risk. So I think that's really cool. We were able to be on the inside of some meetings and conversations for Tokyo Baptist Church, which we're partners with and we're regularly a part of. And we just had some brainstorming sessions of how can we be smart about this? How can we approach this, but also still meet as a church as the Lord calls us to? So one of those things would be like, okay, maybe we don't need to pass the offering basket around. Maybe the ushers hold the offering baskets at the door and people can put their offering in the offering basket. Or maybe the people who are counting the money after the offering and stuff, maybe they shouldn't be touching that stuff with their bare hands. Maybe we need to get them disposable gloves. The church that we went to yesterday, it wasn't Tokyo Baptist Church. We went and visited another church, one of our partner churches, and they had a washing station at the very front. So everyone who came in the front door were washing their hands with soap and water and being very, very sterile about how they approach things. And then, if everyone's doing that when they walk in, technically should be good to go. And people wearing masks and everyone's liberally applying hand sanitizer and such. So churches are taking different approaches. Some churches have closed. Some have said we're shutting down for March and we'll open back up in April. Other churches are finding a happy medium right now. So there are a lot of churches who are turning to live streaming, just like what we're doing right now, for their services. So the pastor is still preaching, and there are some people who will attend the service, but for Japanese, where it's an honor and shame culture, and there could be pressure to show up even if you feel like you're at risk, the live streams and those types of things offer an opportunity for the members to still be a part of what's going on at the church without feeling like they have to risk what's going on, or if they feel sick or have those symptoms that could be corona, they can stay home without the pressure and be able to still take part in the live stream and worshiping with their local body. So yeah, it's just kind of crazy and weird right now. It feels like snowpocalypse for some of you who have been in the South, especially when we have a big snow and everyone gets the bread and milk and the eggs, and by the end of the night before a big snow or whatever, all that stuff's off the shelves and everyone's making French toast the next day. So it's really weird. It's really goofy. I've never been through something like this before. But we're hopeful because the coronavirus acts very similarly to influenza, in the sense that when it warms up, the virus can't survive very well. It just sinks. So Hokkaido is probably going to have it the worst and the longest, just because it's cold up there. But we're hopeful that maybe even in April, but especially once we start getting towards May, that we'll see the coronavirus stuff really dip on the back end, and things will be back to normal. That's our hope. That's our prayer. Even sooner would be better, but we're expecting with its changing temperatures that we'll see that change. So, be praying for us that we can minister to our neighbors well in this as we work through things. As kids, we have 3 families on our floor here at our apartment building, and all those kids have to stay home, and mom and dad have to figure out what to do. And so it's weird, it's strange for everyone. So be praying for the Japanese, especially as they take this. The Japanese are not strangers to critical emergencies like this, whether it's earthquakes, tsunamis, famine, disease, those types of things. They're very resilient people. And we need to be praying that resilience also doesn't shut up the gospel. That the resilience that they've learned to depend on isn't also resilience against the gospel. But that they can trust in God, and that resilience can be supercharged in a positive way in faith in the Lord. So to wrap up, I want to talk to you guys about some new plans that we're working through right now. The coronavirus has caused us to cancel all of our in-person events. So all of our training events that we were planning, we were supposed to have one on the 9th, so next Monday. We're supposed to have one on April 4th, and we can't do those things. It's just not wise. So this last week or so, we've been revamping, reworking our game plan for the next 2 months. So we're not going to do any in-person large-scale events until May. That would be the earliest. That's our game plan right now. Unless things change and it really backs off, we're shooting for May. But until then, what can we do? So we have been working with the pastors, the Japanese pastors, and our partners to think through a game plan for the next 2 months. So it's going to look like we have a little bit extra time now to sharpen and make our tools even better and get some testing done on those tools. So actually getting to work with Japanese a little bit more on those, getting them some time with those tools and letting them try them out and see how it works for them, if there's any clarity issues or contextual issues that we need to work through that we may have missed. And so it's actually a little bit of a blessing that we have this time, so we're thankful for that. We'll also be able to take a little bit more time and care in how we film our training materials. So we're working through developing a filming schedule and working with some of our friends here who are professionals in videography and all that stuff to set up some more like formal like studio style filmings of the training materials. And what's exciting about that is that can be a long-term, a better quality long-term tool for us in our training, because when we have segments on like why are we sharing the gospel, like what's the point, why are we commanded to do that, and some things like that, if that's in Japanese by these local pastors and local believers, and we can have those isolated segments, those become training tools that, they don't have an Olympic flavor on them. They can be used in any context at any point indefinitely, and that becomes a tool available to Japanese believers and hopefully an encouragement to Japanese believers. So we're excited about the prospect of being able to do that and be able to put a bit more care and love into the actual filming and quality of those things, but also comes with challenges, because these pastors, they are great pastors, and because they're great pastors, they're busy dudes, and they're busy in ministry, and then on top of that, they're busy trying to take care of the corona stuff in their own churches. So be praying for them as they handle that and pastor and shepherd their church as well, but also as we work with them and work through those schedules, that God would show us grace in helping us line up our schedules well and do that in a way that serves them to the best that we can. And so we're really excited about those things. We're also going to be working on some skits and some basically situational skits that talk about what happens when you share the gospel to someone who doesn't want to hear about the gospel or hates Christians, or they hear it and they're ready to follow Christ. What do we do? And so we're going to be working through some of these different training materials, both in Japanese and then in English. And these will be our training materials that will go up hopefully in April, so that all of our teams across the world, whether they're international coming in or our local volunteers here, they will be able to have those in a timely fashion, consume the material, learn the material, build it into who they are, and then when May comes around, they'll be all set up with that content, so when we can have our actual live trainings in person, we can really focus on the practicing aspect of that, getting a lot of repetitions in on sharing the gospel in those different situations, and getting out physically into the world where they don't have the gospel and trying some of these tools that we've been working on. So that's the next 2 months. It's a lot of work, a little bit extra time, but more time means that we should be doing better things, better products, better quality things. We want to strive for excellence and innovation in how we do things. So please be praying for us as we do that, and as we get ready to get busy in May, especially with the trainings and really preparing for things. Last thing, please be praying for the logistics of all of our in-country and out-of-country moving. For example, we have new teammates coming in. They're supposed to come in this month, but we're not worried about them being in danger of getting corona or anything like that, but we are concerned about, if the governments and things like that put restrictions on travel and, quarantines and stuff like that, then that gets annoying and it gets a little hairy, but, it puts a little kink in the plans sometimes, but be praying that that's not the case. It's not the case now. For our team members coming from the States moving to Japan, they should be able to get in here and things should be fine. And then be praying for our planning and our coordination with the pastors and the training materials and all of our partners as we're working hard to do that well. And then lastly, I just want to throw this prayer out there. We need to really start developing relationships and opportunities for coffee. So if you are a coffee person, or you know someone who is, and we're looking to resource beans especially, but also if there's anyone out there, any Christian professionals in the coffee world who would be interested in partnering with us to help us get beans here, and we would talk with them and help them explain those things. But we need coffee for the coffee houses, basically. So please be praying with us as we are continuing to look for those partnerships and solutions for getting beans here for the coffee house. And the coffee is a bridge for us to have gospel conversations. So please be praying for the coffee situation here as we get closer to the summer. We still have a good 5 months or so till we get started, but it's still a big component of what we're doing, and we need answers, and we need solutions. And we have a great guy, his name is Justin, and he's our coffee captain, and he's been working real hard at helping us figure out those solutions. But I just realized that I haven't asked our community as a whole to be a part of that. So we invite you guys into that. If you have any ideas or connections that you think would be beneficial for us, please shoot them our way. But if not, or even if you do, please be praying for us as we sort through those things and become good stewards of the coffee capital that we could be working with here in Japan. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your prayers, and thank you for being a part of Connect 2020 wherever you are. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.